Ever since I was about 13, I've always thought about the concept of life and death and the universe. Most people think about life and death throughout their lives, but me being such a young age and thinking about that concept really made my anxiety peak whenever I was in my teens. This anxiety would carry on, and I still think about the concept of dying and just not knowing what's on the other side. Whenever I talk about the universe, it is inevitable that the universe could end at a certain period of time, and not knowing whenever it could end also makes my anxiety peak. If I'm gone and the universe is gone, that leaves me to think, where does my soul go? What is the purpose of living if it is not forever? Life itself is a very interesting experience to have, and if you've ever just walked around like the park or looked up at the trees or the sky or just looked down at the water and you see that the waves have a ripple effect similar to sound waves. Life is just a very interesting concept. Whenever I'm walking through the park, I tend to look up at the sky or look up at the trees. My mind always goes to what makes the wind blow? How do we coexist with the animals around us? And while there is a lot of scientific information to back all these questions up, it still leaves my mind to think about the concept of a god. Now, this is a controversial topic because a lot of people are religious, but with me, I really think about how things actually exist. Another example would be the gravity holding the Earth in place. Each day, more scientists are discovering how this actually works, and some have actually explained it very well. All these questions in my mind leave me to think about life in general. Each day, especially now, you tend to look at the more grim side of life, which is death. Natural disasters keep happening more and more frequently, and it leaves one to believe, where is my life heading? Some believe in karma, like myself, but others believe that even the holiest person and the person that does the most for its community can tend to just fall victim to death. So then you actually have to ask the question, did they deserve to die? Or was it all part of the adventure of that person, them leaving a legacy behind? These are all concepts that I think about on a regular basis, and if you're like me, very, very curious on what's on the other side, then it is very natural to actually sit and think about these things. Now, if you think about the concept of life and death more often, then it will push you into an anxiety state, and that is somewhere where you don't want to be. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I've thought about the concept of life and death at a very young age. Not knowing the answer of what's on the other side made my anxiety peak. If you're having these thoughts or you're thinking about what's on the other end, I highly suggest focusing your mind on achieving something that you really wanted to achieve. For me, I've done just about everything that the kid me wanted to do. I started producing music, I started making content on YouTube, and I started to live the dreams that I had thought about for years. The concept of life and death should not really scare somebody into living a sheltered life. It is the nature of existing to leave a legacy behind. I really hope that I'm not the only one thinking about the concept of life and death and the universe, because that would just make me weird, but this is something that I really wanted to talk about. All of these thoughts about life and death, how we were made, where we came from, and how we exist on a day-to-day basis has led me to think about things like, how does the universe exist? Are there multiple universes like what you see in Marvel movies? What is the probability that the universe will end at a certain period of time? At around 14, I watched a very interesting episode of Futurama, and in this episode, they build a time machine and they go forward in time only to see the universe end and repeat itself. After I saw this episode, it really made me question, does that actually exist? Does the universe end and repeat itself, or does it live on for eternity? Are we going to be flying through space in 10,000 years from now to never hit the end of it? These questions also make me think about, how did the universe come to exist? We have the controversial topic of the Bible, God, God and Jesus and all of these other mythical beings that have created this existence. We can come to understand religion, pray, and understand science to really think about the concept of existence and the concept of the universe. But realistically, it still does not give us the answer. What is on the other side? Does the universe end, and will life always exist? But if death is inevitable and the universe will not exist in 30 billion years, what about all the people that have passed away before me? Where do we go? How do we exist? Will my soul be passed down to generation, or will I no longer exist after my passing? And will I be able to see the end of the universe? These are all things that I think about whenever I'm looking at the aspects of life, death, and the universe. A lot of what I'm talking about can be understood with science, but there still are a few things that I just have so many questions about. Is it just memories that you have lived throughout your life, or is it something more? Now, I think the most interesting thing that whenever I think about death is actually meeting some of the most famous people throughout history. I mean, I definitely want to meet Mac Miller. I definitely want to meet MLK. It would be so interesting to meet all these people and hear their stories. Then again, does it exist? That is a question that brings us all together. What is on the other side? Life, death, and the universe are definitely an interesting concept to really think about whenever you're sitting and writing your next novel, or whenever you're making your next track. What comes to mind with these gifts? Were you given these gifts as part of a plan for your life, or was it just random? I know that this video is a little bit on the heavier side and it's not something that people really want to hear, but it is something that I wanted to talk about. There are still a lot of unanswered questions throughout my life, and I've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes to achieve certain goals, certain dreams that I've had whenever thinking about the next move that I have in my life. So if you're still here at the end of this video, what do you think about the concept of life, death, and the universe? Do you think that we were put here for a purpose, or do you think that life just works out in mysterious ways?